Hey guys, this is Star Warden. I'm back, and today I'm going to be talking about the Green Ember. I'm really excited about this because it's such a heartfelt story. It may feel like I said in my intro video, I explained it as rabbits with swords, and the author, S.D. Smith, he literally says rabbits with swords. But it's not as ridiculous as it seems. It's actually a serious, heartfelt story. Like, the world literally revolves around rabbits and how they're like the prey to these, like, I want to say crime lords, but they're more like predators. Like, there's Morbid Black Hawk, they're like hawks, falcons, wolves, and they have to fight to regain their freedom that's been taken from them like years ago. I don't know. I feel like it's a little, how we got there is a little bit vague to me. I can't remember. But it's not as ridiculous as it sounds. It's more heartfelt. And so that's what brings me to my next thing I'm going to be talking about. It's adventurous, it's epic, it's heartwarming, it has a lot of comedy also. One of my favorite characters, Joe Shanks, he's an archer. And ask me any character that I know who has a bow and arrow, I just think archers are so cool. Joe Shanks, he's like my favorite character. He's so funny and active and awesome. But yeah, that pretty much goes for any other character with a bow and arrow. There's Hawkeye. He's pretty cool. Kalmar from Wingfeather. He has a bow and arrow, and I think that's pretty cool. Joe Shanks. I can't really think of anybody else right now. Oh, Wheezy in the Green Ember. She also has one. But I'm just going on about how characters with bows and arrows are awesome, and I should be talking about the Green Ember. Gotta stay on course. But it has just this feeling of, in like other books, it's like, oh, it's a war. Oh no, but I feel like this actually shows what war is kind of like. War, it takes families apart, and this series follows siblings, Heather and Pickett. I don't know, they're like almost like grown-up teenagers or something, but Heather and Pickett, they're like carefree. They're, in the beginning of the series, they were playing a game as like children, and then their life kind of came down, like, say in Wingfeather, where how it started off as just these kids, just like Green Ember, and it just kind of went from like them like hanging out until to them fighting evil. So that's what happens. Like, their entire family's brought down, and it's just them, and now they're a part of this resistance. They're part of the cause. And so Heather becomes a healer and a storyteller, and then Pickett becomes like one of the most well-known fighters in all of Natalia. And Natalia is the little land that they live in. The world, the fictional world. Most awesome books have a fictional world. But with Heather, she has this kind of putting into like storytelling and healing, and with her story, she befriends another rabbit, a doe named Emma, and they're like really close friends. And Heather's like, I don't want war to happen. I want to do something about it. She's very, I want to say something like headstrong. She's willing to do stuff and to like save the cause. And Pickett, he has a crazy, I want to say character arc, but his character development is crazy. He started out from just like a little buck, like a little rabbit, and then he turns into this mighty warrior because after his parents are gone, he's like angry at the world and stuff. So, and then he finds this old rabbit, Helmer, and he's like, teach me your ways, I am depressed. And so that's what happens. And through pain and tears and a little bit of blood, a lot of bruises likely, he becomes like this awesome warrior and kind of legend all throughout Natalia. And Pickett has lost so much over the series. I mean, he started out with just all of his family, his little brother Jax, his sister Heather, his parents. And then, like, after book 2, in the beginning of book 3, he's lost all of that. I mean, he has his friend group and stuff. He has Joe, he has Colden, he has his master, Helmer. He has his little group that he's got, but his family is gone. So now he's like, I will give everything into the cause. And so he's now this awesome warrior. And it just follows Heather and Pickett's story throughout the series. I feel like I should bring up some other characters like Joe, more of Joe, Emma Smalls. Smalls is one of the best characters. My sister is kind of obsessed. Helmer, let's see, Wheezy, Maggie Osage, or Maggie Weaver. I don't know. She has like 2 different last names. It's weird. But all these characters, they just make up an amazing story about rabbits fighting against a dark world. And so that's pretty cool. So the heroes of the story are definitely Pickett. Heather's a hero. We got Smalls, Emma, Yada, all the characters I just mentioned. But the bad guys, the villains, we have Morbin Blackhawk. And I guess this is one of those cases where we don't know a lot about the villains. And so I guess it's just kind of like a predator instinct kind of thing. He's a hawk, so I guess he's just hungry for rabbits. That's dark. For everybody who's read the series, that's just dark. But I think it's just kind of like in his blood. He's like, I'm just hungry. And then with the wolves, like Red-Eye Garlickson, I don't really know about them. I mean, I'm pretty sure wolves eat rabbits. I'm pretty sure. But, like, they also have the predator instinct. Like, they're trying to take over the world. I'm not sure why, though. But the thing is, they can talk. So, if they can talk, and the Morbin Blackhawk, he has allies that are rabbits. And so I'm confused about that. Why is he fighting against the rabbits when, well, I know he's hungry and stuff, but why does he ally with rabbits also? It's weird, but so that's what I guess the villains are kind of about. And then there's also comedy in this series. There's Joe Shanks. There's this one scene in the 4th book and in the last book, and he was spying on someone, and this person was singing like a little jolly tune. He walks up to that person later, like they're on opposite sides, and then he repeats the song, but he messes it up, like, I don't know, like messing up the lyrics or something. And so he's like, I know what you did, you sang. And so that was the little comedy part. And then the best quote is the most funniest thing. I might have gotten this wrong, but it says, a chef says, Chef Gort, he says, not enough salt is an insult. Too much salt is an assault. That is genius right there. Me and my sister, me and my older sister, like, I was like, hey, not enough salt is an insult, and too much salt is an assault. And so we just look at each other and we're like, that is the best line anyone has ever said. And so that's a little bit of what the comedy is like. There are definitely some moments where it's like saddening, like when my older sister finished book 2. She didn't even finish it yet. We were up in Montana for a vacation, and she just finished a certain part in book 2, and she would not finish the book. She was crying. And I was like, you good? You good? But it's such a heartfelt story, and it's action-packed. Rabbits with swords, you can imagine there will be fighting. And a little thing that's happening, they can fly also. They have these little wing contraptions that they have, and that creates something called the Fowlers, which is a kind of a fighting group that consists of Pickett, Joe, Cole, Perkson, I don't know. I feel like there's more. I don't know, but there's more. And it's led by Helmer, and they fight the fowls. They fight the birds. And so I'm going to be talking about that later as soon as I reread. But there are smaller books in the series. There's The Wreck and Rise of King Winston. Winston? I don't know. The King Whitson series. And so it goes through, like, kind of the past of Natalia, like, with Prince Lander and King Whitson. Whitson? I forgot. But it kind of, like, brings it up to that. And then there's a little short series. There's the Archer series. And it's kind of, like, through Joe's perspective of things. So it's like how Joe got to where he is right now. How, like, a little story in between. And then there's the Archer's Cup, where there are 3 books. There's The Last Archer, The First Fowler, and The Archer's Cup. The Archer's Cup, it's interesting. I think it's in between, I think, either book 2 or book 3 or book 3 or book 4. I don't know. It's in that little space. And it kind of just follows Joe. Like Joe in the beginning, he's against these things. But then, like, he starts to warm up to these things. He has a little bit of character development there. But I feel like I'm talking, like, about Joe a lot. But what I like about this series is it's just written amazingly. I mean, for me, it's hard for me to read some things. Like, I can barely make it through, like, a complicated book. But not, like, complicated with, like, the story and everything. Complicated with its words. I'm like, you lost me there. But if you have a problem with that like I do, I suggest doing the audiobook, because if you've read it once and you've forgotten some things or didn't quite catch on to those things, you could take the books, like, look through it as you're listening to the audiobook, which, I don't know, I listen to it on Audible, so yeah, it's pretty fun. You catch on to so many more details that way. And the characters also, like, the character who I relate the most to, probably either Emma or Heather, like, and I bet in all of our lives we've had those things where it's like things have changed us. We used to be, like, kids. Like, when I was younger, it seemed so, like, simple. My parents would just go like, oh, you have something today, and I'm like, okay. Now getting older, it's, like, more responsibility. So with Emma and Heather, they have to live up to the responsibility of being doctors and stuff, and healing, and finding those things yourself and not having someone else do them for you, and trying to save the world that way all by yourselves, and facing trials along the way. Like, disappointment can harm, like, it can harm you, like, your insides, your feelings in a way. Say, if I didn't, like, move up in a dance class, or if I wasn't able to make it to a birthday party or a friend hangout, you'd feel disappointed and feel like I wasn't able to be there for my friends, or I wasn't able to be good enough to move up to this next class. And you're thinking, what if it was for the better? And, like, what if your friends, they turn out to be, like, different? Or, I'm not saying this, but, like, say there was a sickness going around in your friend's birthday party, and you're like, oh, I'm glad I didn't go. And then in dance, it's like, maybe I needed that extra year in this level to help me improve. And with Heather and Emma becomes, like, this really accomplished doctor, but she found a shocking truth in book 2 about herself that changed her future. And Heather, her future also changed through so many things. So connecting with the characters in a way, it's fun to watch. It's also good to feel, like, comparing yourselves with those characters. Like, it's crazy. And also the fight versus good and evil is something else I like, because it's kind of like prey stands up to its predators, go like, hey, you want to go, bro? You want to go? And so it's kind of like showing the weak can stand up. There is nothing holding you back. Say, even if you're small, you can be small. Like, you can be small, but your mind can be strong. And you can take things that maybe the taller, meaner people can't. Like, you could look up to them and say, I don't, like, they said, hey, you're small, I can, like, punch you and take you down and stuff. And then they say, your words can't hurt me. And they're like, I feel like just because you're small doesn't mean you're not powerful. So the rabbit's kind of standing up to those, like, mean villains and stuff. And it's kind of like saying, you can do anything, in a way. And so, even if, like, in the series, Heather and Pickett started out as, like, children. They started out small, and then Pickett turned into a great warrior, and he turned to a legend. And then Heather turned into a medic, and by the end she turned into something even greater than a doctor. And it's just saying that, like, nothing's impossible. And I feel like that's probably one of the messages it gave me. But anyway, that was my little intro to the Green Ember. I hope you like it. My upcoming videos, I'm excited for this. I'm going to be posting a lot of fan art. I have the Wing Feather kids when they're older, like their age is 19 to 15. I have those coming out maybe this week, maybe after this video. But I'm really excited about that. Next week, I'm going to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. What I like about it, what it had, like the impact it's had on me, what characters I like, what characters I can relate with. And I'm now going to be releasing shorts, I hope. So maybe this week I'm going to be posting a couple of maybe like short videos on what, like, some of my thoughts on things. And I'm hoping that eventually I can do, like, little sketches, like, about dancing and maybe some little funny wing feather things. I love being funny. It's so fun. And so, yeah, that's kind of my plan for the next week or so, and next week. So, hope you guys have a good week. Happy holidays. And bear the flame.